Never before have I found the pyramids deserted. One of the ancient wonders of the world, with no one to wonder at it. Not a single tourist in sight. The largest country in the Arab world, one of my most frequent destinations as Middle East correspondent of The Independent. In 17 years, covering the region and now the Balkans, I'm reporting not so much the peace the West has promised, but a new and angry strain of Islam that blames us for its predicament. What on earth is happening to Egypt?
Buenos Soa, where are the tourists?
This is tourists not here today.
Why not?
That's, you know, they have problem in Egypt that's not coming in tourists, you know. It's tourists not coming now.
It's because of the bombs and the shootings, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Unchanging Egypt is being transformed by a new force that threatens to overthrow the country's pro-Western government, that shoots policemen, tourists, government ministers. The most radical Muslims here, the Jamaat Islamiyah, want an Islamic state in Egypt. Even military courts cannot tame them. Businessmen fly to their destinations, reporters take trains. And the rail journey to Cairo is like Egypt itself. Exciting, suffocatingly hot, hopelessly overcrowded, and exhausting. Frustration is a part of Egyptian life. A magnificent, timeless country of excruciating poverty and endemic tiredness. At once beautiful and dirty, the country provides most Egyptians with no more than $12 a month to live on. No wonder the people are moving into Cairo, a capital of 12 million people that was built for 3 million. A city in which insurrection and violence can so easily claim the most innocent of victims. Five-year-old Merit Marhous lies in a coma in a Cairo hospital. A bomb set off by Islamic militants and intended for a busload of British tourists has blasted a nail into her brain.
I think she can see, but she can't speak.
Does she recognize her parents?
I think to some extent.
Do you think she can recover to a full life?
I can't answer you that question. I think no one can answer you that question. I can't decide.
البومب ده وهي باباها كان فاكر ان في حاجه في العربيه بس لا الازاز كله وقع اتكسر وكان في الصاج كله اتخرم خروم كتير جدا في ناحيه الشمال لان هو كان ناحيه الجيزه طالع والعجل كمان نام كله فجه يحرك العربيه عشان ينقذ ميريت فالعربيه كانت العجل نايم ما قدرش مشي بيها شويه وبعدين ركنها وخد ميريت في ميكروباص وراح لأقرب مستشفى أم المصريين فعملوا لها حسوا إن في حاجة في الدماغ عملوا لها أشعة على طول لقي في مسمار في المخ.
What do you feel now about the men who set off this bomb?
يعني ما اقدرش اقول حاجه، يعني هو ربنا هو اللي يقدر يوقفهم عند حدهم، يعني ما حدش يقدر يمسكهم غير هو ربنا هو اللي يقدر يوقفهم عند حدهم، واحنا بنصلي علشان الموضوع ده ينتهي في مصر.
Exotic though it appears to a foreigner, the Cairo suburb of Imbaba is synonymous with those who are trying to overthrow the Egyptian government of Hosni Mubarak. Amid these slums live the men who demand an Islamic republic. The Camp David Treaty, Egypt's peace with Israel, won no converts here. The benefits of peace did not touch these people. In Imbaba, the Jamaat Islamiyah, the Islamic group, has a network of members. Their martyrs are the young Muslim men hanged by Mubarak's government for attacking foreigners and policemen alike. It's a place where the Islamic Sabbath is scrupulously observed. In homes here, at night, they play videotapes of Muslim insurrection. At an Algerian rally, a preacher holds up the shirt of Khalid al-Islambuli, the Egyptian army lieutenant who assassinated President Mubarak's predecessor, Anwar Sadat. Sadat made peace with Israel, a crime in the eyes of the man who killed him. And those frightening moments of Sadat's own death here in Cairo are played and replayed to an audience of Egyptians for whom religion and violence are the only antidotes to poverty and unemployment. In Imbaba, it's not difficult to find those who understand the authoritarian nature of the Jamaat Islamiyah.
What does the Jamaat Islamiyah now want in Egypt? What does it want now? What is it trying to get?
تطبيق الشريعة الإسلامية وإعلاء كلمة الله تبارك وتعالى بس.
What was the effect on people here, and what is the effect now of the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel?
أي قرار ممكن الحكومة بتاخده في البعض بيوافق عليه وفي البعض ما بيوافقش عليه. لكن كان طبيعة شعب مصر اللي هو الإسلام إن هو شعب متدين رافض السلام مع إسرائيل. إنه أصلاً يهود، وفي القرآن عندنا إن ربنا حرم الصلح مع اليهود. لأن اليهود والنصارى يعتبروا العدو الأول للإسلام. ربنا تبارك وتعالى قال بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولن ترضى عنك اليهود والنصارى حتى تتبع ملتهم.
3 miles and a world away, the Egyptian middle classes can relax at the Gezira Club, safe in the knowledge that they are protected by the government which is now fighting the Jamaat Islamiyah. They count themselves among Egypt's lucky ones, the men and women of money, well-educated, unveiled, the secular face of Mubarak's Egypt, who have no desire for an Islamic state.
We don't really have a fundamentalist problem here.
Well, a foreigner like me sitting here would probably say, but surely you do, because, I mean, the bombs that go off do exist.
But this has got nothing to do with the religion. They may call it that, but it's got nothing to do with the religion.
What do you think it is?
I don't know what it is, but it's obviously people who want to take over power in Egypt. And because our Egyptians are very religious people and are very, I don't want to say simple-minded, but appealing to them and calling it religion, I think, is where they stand a better chance. And this is why they're calling it religion, but it's not religion.
This, I admit, it makes me feel a bit divided from the rest of from the rest, because we don't go to the same places they do. They don't go to the same places we do. My kids don't go to the same schools the others do.
The Egyptian police are now at war with the Islamic militants. On average, an Egyptian policeman is shot dead every 4 days. Police and plainclothes agents are on every street, an intrusive presence in the lives of every Egyptian, even if the police claim to have no idea why the Jamaat Islamiyah set off their bombs.
You don't know what they are asking for, what they are trying to do. They have start attacks tourism, then police officers, then normal people in the streets.
And what are the exact instructions here? Now, supposing a car comes along and it doesn't stop, what do?
They're going to shoot on it.
But behind the public image of the Egyptian police lies a more sinister force. Human rights organizations have noted that of the thousands of Muslim suspects arrested in Egypt, almost all complain they were routinely tortured by officers of the Egyptian Ministry of Interior.
How did the police torture you?
كانوا موقفيني ووشي للحيط، وبعدين جه واحد راح واخدني من ايدي مدخلني على المكتب جوه، وانا طبعا مكلبش بقيد خلفي، القيد الجديد اللي بيقولوا عليه اللي هو جاي من امريكا، اللي هو كل ما اي حركه في الايد بيقفش في الايد اكتر. ابتدى يحط لي جهاز في شفايفي، ابتديت اصرخ من الالم. ابتدى يقول لي هتتكلم، لازم تتكلم، ولازم تقول لي المنشورات دي جبتها منين. واستمر في كهرباء شفايفي ما يقرب من تقريبا حوالي 5 دقايق، وبعدين نزل على صدري ابتدى يكهرب فيا، وبعدين هو نفسه الشخص راح منزل السليب بايده وابتدى يمسك عضو الذكوره وابتدى يكهربني فيه ما يقرب من حوالي 10 دقايق. طبعا انا كنت بصرخ اقول له طب هتكلم، هقول، وبعد ما قال لي هتتكلم قلت له هتكلم.
Travel to the ancient city of Luxor, opposite the Valley of the Kings, and you can witness the shattering economic effects of the Muslim war against Mubarak's pro-Western regime. The men and women who run the tourist trade are out of work. For a nation propped up by American grants of $3 billion a year, Egypt is now losing more than $1 billion because tens of thousands of tourists are too frightened to come to the country. Those Westerners who still dare to visit Egypt are given no information about the violence which threatens them.
Do you know what's going on in Egypt? I mean, do you know why the bombings are going on?
No, not really. I know it's happening, but I don't really know the ins and outs of it.
I mean, you know there's a man hanged in Cairo yesterday, for example?
No, not aware of that at all.
Judith, do you know what's going on in Egypt? Do you know why these bombs are going off here?
No, I'm afraid I'm the same, no. I know they're happening, but I don't know the reasons why.
The Quran says that God is merciful, compassionate. So how do you justify the killing of innocent people like tourists?
لأن يمكن الحاجة الوحيدة اللي ممكن تأثر على الرأي العام أو الحكومة المصرية والوجهة الحكومة المصرية من خارج هي السياح، والقلق والوضع الأمني في مصر هي السياح. يمكن الحقيقة الوحيدة اللي ممكن تتنقل بحذافيرها. قتلوا 1، قتلوا 2، قتلوا 3، بالظبط بتنقل وكالات الأنباء العالمية. أما ممكن أي حاجة تانية ما تتنقلش. لكن دي اللي ممكن تخص وكالات الأنباء العالمية، وأي دولة عندها إن أي واحد من رعاياها حاجة كبيرة جدا جدا جدا. يعني مثلا أمريكا لو واحد اتقتل من أمريكا الدنيا بتقوم وبتقعد. فرنسا، إيطاليا، الدول اللي هي العظمى دي. كان أي واحد تاني بدون الدول ديت مالوش سعر ولوش تمن. فممكن بعضهم رأى إنه ممكن يأثر على الحكومة إنه يقتل سايح أو 2 أو 3.
Military courts have now sent almost 20 men to the gallows. The army has been called in by Mubarak to obtain speedy convictions for those who've already demanded his own assassination. Due process of law is now in the hands of soldiers.
مش عايزين العمالة في الحكم، مش عايزين الحكام يكونوا عملاء للصهيونية أو للماسونية أو للنصرانية. عايزين الحكام يحكموا بما أنزل الله ويطبقوا شرع الله في البلاد، ونرفض الزنا والدعارة والخمور والتمثيل والعنف والفجر والشواطئ العارية التي تستحل بها حرمات الله. نعم، مستعد أموت في ذلك، أضحي بنفسي ومالي وولدي وزوجتي وكل ما أملك من أجل تحقيق إن الحكم إلا لله.
The Egyptian government doesn't like reporters to write about the crisis facing their country. Despite the facts, they claim we exaggerate, that by reporting the threat to President Mubarak's regime, we are irresponsible. Today, we're encouraged by Western governments to believe that there will be peace in the Middle East and to forget about the Muslim opposition to the West in Egypt, in Lebanon, in Jordan, in the occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip, across all of what used to be the Ottoman Empire. Amid the horrors of Bosnia, where Muslims now face extermination, the world needs good news. But the evidence is there. Westerners need protection in Egypt now. Even the tourist buses down from Alexandria must be escorted by President Mubarak's security men. Sometimes I feel like an Ottoman correspondent, traveling from one end of the old Turkish Empire in Egypt to the ancient Balkan frontier 1,000 miles away. For me, the Middle East now stretches all the way to Bosnia, to Sarajevo, where the Islamic faith, brought here by the Ottomans, is under siege. And I think the same now as I did on my previous trips to Sarajevo, that if Muslims in the Arab world feel betrayed, how much more bitter must be the anger of the Bosnian Muslims here who've been abandoned by the West. Sarajevo, both a symbol of inhumanity and of our own Western betrayal. A city once known for an assassination that started the First World War. Sarajevo sent my own father to the trenches of France. This is supposed to be one of Europe's great and civilizing cities. Now it is as broken as its people. As I've learned on my previous visits to Sarajevo, no one here is safe from the men up in these hills. Sarajevo remains mixed, with Serbs and Croats among its defenders, but most of its people are Muslims.
Every
single day is worse and worse. And there is nothing to think about it, and we have no hope anymore.
Why is there no hope anymore?
Zašto nema više nade?
Pa ne znam, eto, izgleda da smo napušteni ovako, svi.
I'm not sure, but it seems that everyone let us down.
Will the West help at all?
Da li očekujete pomoć Zapada?
To očekujemo već godinu dana očekujemo, ali ništa.
About 1 year we are expecting help from West.
Evo! Ajde, bježi okolo, pravite tam, čini. Uri, molim vas skupaj, nemojte se gurati ovako, jedan po jedan, majte. Da, hajde, Uri.
Does she wish she was still living in Yugoslavia?
Šta bi? Željela, jer smo imali život. Dok nam je Tito, život je bio. Bili smo slobodni, odali smo, kupovali smo, mi sad što dobijemo na humanitarnoj to ne.
Evo, pa bila sa mnom, pola, ne mogu, vodi se na van.
First of all, in Sarajevo, military activities have, from our assessment, decreased slightly in the last day and a half. Nonetheless, we are still seeing shelling and the exchange of small arms fire. Broken down as 20 artillery rounds, 32 mortar rounds, 9 tank rounds, and 16 anti-aircraft artillery rounds. Now,
is there a single area under the UN control which isn't under shell fire or going up in flames?
When you say under UN control, I guess you're saying that advisedly. In our areas of operations, we are seeing fighting everywhere.
Newspaper reports are no way to describe the scale of Sarajevo's tragedy. How should I write about an ordinary, insignificant day in the life of a Sarajevo hospital and describe the sights which you will see now as the routine civilian victims of the city's snipers and artillerymen arrive? This wounded Muslim soldier is waiting to have his leg amputated.
Kada sam tek saznao da će mi biti odsječena noga, bio sam potresen, sada sam se pomirio sa sudbinom, postoje tako dobre proteze, mislim, moći se nastaviti život do bez toga.
When he says it's his destiny, does he mean that if he was to live his life again, he would still be a fighter and fight for his cause?
Da.
Yes.
How does his family feel about him now?
Brini, potrešeni su veoma. Ali su sretni su što sam se vratio živ, postoje 20 mojih drugova, recite mi da je 20 mojih drugova poginula. Ja sam jedan od rijetkih koji se vratio, makar i bez noge.
Does he think the West is to blame?
Da li je kriv Zapad za to?
Ne.
No.
Zapad je kriv što neće sada da pomogne. Zapad nije kriv za rat, ali je kriv što sada ne pomaže više.
The soldier is to be fully conscious as they cut off his leg, with only a spinal injection to kill the pain. The doctors here have few medicines. There is no electricity to illuminate the operating theatres, so this man's amputation is being carried out in the daylight of a secretary's office. And how was he wounded? What exactly happened to him?
Što se desilo? Kako ste...
Išao sam sa birom malo granje, drva. I pogodio me snajper u vrat. Ovdje od mene vamo, odali ovdje izašao ovaj da prostrijel. Prihvatio, nije previše baš toliko.
This Muslim boy has just been shot by a Serb sniper as he played in a street. When his mother tried to protect him, the sniper shot her too.
How do you account for the man who fired at the little boy we saw just now, and then at his mother when she tried to shield him? This happened while you were in the operation.
Tell me? Can you tell me?
No. But you're a doctor. You may have thought about it. You live in Sarajevo.
Yes, but I am a surgeon. I'm not psychiatrist.
But you've thought about it, haven't you?
Yes, I saw many people, many children.
But you thought about it. You've thought about these people, haven't you?
They are not people. They are not human beings. I personally think that couldn't do on human being. We are the victim here, a really victim. From the beginning of the war, about, I don't know exactly the number, but about 200,000 people is killed, is died. And the majority of this number, they are Muslim. We must fight, we must survive also.
Snipers. Snipers everywhere. Sarajevo is synonymous with snipers.
We can try to go in first call.
Is this where the 200 people have been killed?
Yes.
I can see the problem.
Dobro jutro.
Kod Huseina smo jučer preveli, rano onima skinuli smo zavoj sa glave, vizijom dure I likore.
One of badly injured patients, but still, as you can see, good looking. Fortunately enough, the bullet, that was a sniper. Bullet get into the brain and the head just here and pass in the middle, in between the two halves of the brain. So he was operated.
He will be able to speak and...
Yes.
Yeah.
Kako ste, dobro jutro? Dobre.
He's a soldier or a civilian?
He is. Jeste borac? Yes, he is a soldier.
Dečko koji je operisan na našoj klinici.
Probudi se, dobro jutro. Badly injured patient, he is not a soldier. He would like to be a soldier. As you can see, the cap is here. The army of Bosnia. He was queuing for the water supply, and the grenade shell came. 7 children was killed, and he was injured.
And where was he wounded?
Gdje to bilo? Gdje, na kom mjestu u gradu?
U Bistriku, Pivare, kod Pivare.
That was yes.
Did you operate on him, though?
Oh, yes. Yes, he was immediately operated upon. He had the palsy. He couldn't move at all. Now he's improving. Again, shell, civilian, and injury was not that severe.
She was hit in the head or the arm?
Hit in the arm and in the back.
Does she remember what happened?
Sjećate li se šta se dogodilo?
Dim me je udario, tu mi je bio I muž mi je poginuo, sin mi je gore ovdje.
Her husband was killed.
A 5 sata noga.
It was yesterday.
What a tragedy. Does she remember? Does she have a clear memory of this?
Kad je pukla granata na jedini, viš ništa nisam.
She has. She said, well, I just remember something blowed up and then very high light was there, and after that
she knows her husband is dead?
Yeah, she knows. this war is not the war anymore. This is just a crime against the humanity and the civilization. And if you ask me, what else could it be as the reason for the whole world to stop this bloody crime, then I have no answer for that. For me, this is more than enough for everybody in the world to do their utmost by all means to stop it immediately.
Are they doing their utmost?
Well, I do, but
the world do.
The world should do, but they don't.
Right here.
Right. Nice.
Left.
Left.
Here.
Left. Yes.
Straight ahead.
Sniper.
Okay. Right.
No.
Okay. Right.
Right. Oh, it's not.
Oh, right. We've obviously made it.
The defenders of Sarajevo, most of them Muslims, like to show reporters their front line and how pitifully few are their weapons. The West maintains its arms embargo against the Bosnian government. The soldiers don't even possess the flak jackets and helmets that we reporters wear. The Serbs surrounding Sarajevo can shell it at will with the heavy artillery which they inherited from the old Serb-dominated Yugoslav army. Muslims are at the mercy of the Serbs and of the West's refusal to give them guns.
Extraordinary.
The front line is anyone's home. The Serbs are about 50 meters away.
It's not in our blood to surrender.
It's not in your blood to surrender.
Yeah.
But you've had a year of being sniped at like this.
Yeah.
How much longer can you go on?
It's a difficult question.
I mean, what kind of Bosnia will you be living in the years to come?
Well, I think in nearest future that the things here will be changed.
And what will happen?
Some political agreement.
And what does that mean? You don't know.
Yeah.
Let me turn to Mustafa. And Mustafa, I want to ask you, why are you fighting in this frontline position?
Mustafa, ako mogu da vas pitam zašto ratujete na ovoj borbenoj poziciji?
Pa vidite, kao I sami znate da smo napadnuti od agresora. Stali smo u odbranu. Borimo se za slobodnu Bosnu I Hercegovinu, za našu domovinu koju smo imali, koju želimo da imamo.
Nihad, you're 16 years old. On your Kalashnikov, I noticed you had in green a sign in Arabic. Can I see it? Can you show it to me? Can I see it? No? You won't show it to me? But I mean, I know it's from the Quran. I was going to ask you if you can read it. Why won't you show it to me? Why won't you show it to me?
Zašto nećete mi pokazati?
Okay. But I was going to ask you whether you feel that God protects you when you're fighting.
Yeah.
He does. Do you pray to God to protect you? You believe in God very strongly.
Rekao sam da svi koji su okrvavili ruke, njih će stići kazna. Stići i kazna kad tad u njihovom životu neće moći mirno spavati. Baš zbog toga što su meni pokvarili djetinjstvo, njima mladost. Svima nama su ubacili ono u ruke što ne bi nikad pomislio da će uzeti prije u životu. Baš zbog toga će istići kazna, a Bosna će biti ko nekad.
Scaffolding props up the shell-damaged 16th century walls of Sarajevo's great mosque. Muslims have been in Bosnia for 400 years. Christian Slavs who converted under Turkish rule, they pray as Muslims, although their language is Serbo-Croatian, not Arabic.
وإلى أرواح آله وأولاده وأزواجه وأصحابه وأتباعه.
Everyone knows what happened to Bosnian Muslims in terms of concentration camps, in terms of rape, in terms of destruction of villages, cities, in terms of refugees from their homes. And despite all this, we are punished twice. The other punishment is that the Western community, or if you like, we can say the world community, or the world conscience, or European community, giving us some hopes that they will help us as victims. They betrayed us, and we believed them, and now they are betraying themselves. And they don't want to help us, but they don't allow us ourselves to help ourselves, because it is illogical, it is immoral, it is a crime to hold small people who are striving for survival and giving us these arguments that we don't want to lift them embargo, because if we do that, the more killing will happen. And the killing is happening every day, every day.
What can Muslims do to defend themselves?
We can do, because we are fighting for our survival. And we don't ask for your soldiers to come to defend us. We don't ask that. We don't ask Europe or Christians to come and to save the Muslims. We ask only one simple thing. Please, give us our right. And our right is to defend ourselves. And you don't do that.
Chetnik is only executors. And you are our really enemy, because from the beginning, you don't put us a chance to defend ourselves. You only give the chance to Chetnik to kill us day by the day.
Chetnik's the Serbian forces.
Serbs to take more territory.
It's a crusade war.
By Christians, you mean?
By Christians, yes.
Why
it was 1,000 years ago, it was the same here, then from the Germany, from the French, from Italy.
We feel that we are not wanted in Europe. And we feel that the Christian Europe hate us because we are Muslims. That's our feeling. You see, they are killing me here because I am a Muslim. The only sin, and the only sin that
And the only guilt we are accused of is that we are Muslims.
Much of the real Sarajevo, the spirit of liberal secular life in which Muslims and Christians live together, lies here, beneath the ground, in old graves which have been reopened to take new bodies. Gravediggers are among the only employees in Sarajevo who still have a full-time job. Gravediggers and journalists. We reporters also catalogue this tragedy. But to what effect, I ask myself? Ethnic cleansing. How easily we reporters accepted this phrase. The Muslims who lived in these devastated homes were raped and murdered by the Serbs, not because they were ethnically different from their Serb attackers, but because the Serbs wanted the Muslims' land, and they got it. Our reports of their plunder made no difference. A year ago, the Independent sent me into Serbian Bosnia to search for a village in which Muslims still lived. I found a village called Chela. It had a pretty mosque and a friendly imam who lived in a cottage next door. The Serbs promised to protect them. Now I was going back to see them again, accompanied by 2 watchful Serb policemen.
I'm sure it's the mosque. I went in there before. Keep going, keep going. This I'm sure. Yes, I remember going in here before. This is the mosque. Right. I see the problem here then. Can you ask the policeman what happened to this mosque? I mean, last time I was here, I walked inside it. It was ordinary. What happened, Kathy? Can you ask him?
Onda što se dogodilo tu za džamiju, za sve?
It's no picture. Okay, all right.
Don't take your phone away.
All right. Part of a school book.
I knew what had happened. How long would these Muslims put up with this sort of violence? How can I forget the place where I work, the Middle East? When Muslims there hit out at the West, we say we don't understand them. Mindless terrorism is the phrase we like to use about them. And every time I see things like this, I wonder what the Muslim world has in store for us. Maybe my reports should always end with the same phrase, watch out.
Well, no more mosque.
It had been blown up with explosives. No one would say who did it, and there wasn't any point in asking the Serb police. And here was the cottage in which the Muslim imam and his family had given me coffee just a year ago. They had disappeared, ethnically cleansed. Only a few days ago, no one would say where they were. But I recognized them from the old family snapshots. These were the people who gave me coffee a year ago. To this day, I don't know where they are. The end of the line for the Muslims of Bosnia. Despite our millions of words, despite the pictures of all our television colleagues, have we journalists made the slightest difference to this tragedy? These men and women were driven out of their homes this morning. Muslims, dispossessed, homeless, betrayed.
Why did they throw the Muslims out of Bosnia? Why have they done this to you?
Zašto mislite da Srbi su prisilili vas van?
A čuj, Bože moj, moram. Šta ja? Kako je? Kad moraš, moraš. Hajde, ostavi sve svoje i hajde. Eto kako.
Ne znamo. Očekujemo od međunarodne zajednice da će nas preuzeti, pa kako nam Bog da i međunarodna zajednica, pa eto. Idemo, ne znamo gdje, nikuda.
Can I ask you, why are you leaving Bosnia?
Mogu kazat, a je mi drago, krenuta svog kognica nije. Znači kaže, pa hvala Bogu, onda djecama zovu da će nas prijatelj napusti, pa jedva čekam da dojdem. Kad se vidim da se radi, iz vatre žive, iz kutarstva, hvala Bogu. Hvala Bogu.
In the Middle East, as well as Bosnia, I've spent 17 years writing about these people. It would be nice to think the world listened to us journalists occasionally, but governments have grown used to ignoring our reports. If you still believe in the New World Order, you shouldn't be watching this. Governments want us to think about peace in the Middle East. They'd rather we never saw this, never wrote about it. They'd rather we shut up.
Sadiqa, this is you here?
Sadiqa, yes.
This is you?
Yes.
And this?
Muž moj, yes.
Your husband?
Umro, mrtav.
He's dead. And this here is?
Vjetrva moja.
This is your mother here who's sitting behind you now.
Yes.
What do you think when you look back at these days now?
I što vi osjećate kad vi gledate ovakve slike sada?
Šta? Sami znate, presudite sami. Ja vas molim, nemojte me više pitati. Izvinjavam se, ja nemam više snage.
For these Muslims, this is their moment of despair, their day of catastrophe. An hour ago, they were Bosnian Muslims in their own homes. Now they are refugees.
Oh.
Just a little local train to take them north, to a refugee camp, another country, to another world, to be scattered to the ends of the earth.
Imam mjesto.